Hello and welcome to the 18th edition of Phillies Unfiltered. Along with Brent Tracy, I am Jim Russo. Let's speak our mind today. Brent, how we doing?
I'm doing good, doing good. Tomorrow I'm gonna be heading out of the country for a British Isles cruise with the family. I'm very excited for that. Gonna miss watching the Phils. It's gonna be tough to do that with the time difference, but that's what Jim's here for. He's gonna keep me posted on everything and make sure he's analyzing it effectively so that I know who to be mad at when I get back.
All the moaning and groaning will be on me this time around.
Exactly. And just so you all know, we are going to have one hiatus week in there. That'll be next week, where we'll just take a break. It'll be a bye week. And then the following week, we're going to air a very special episode in which we talk about our favorite all-time lineups. Jim and I give our respective all-time lineups. That's a really fun episode. We already recorded that. I think you guys are going to really enjoy that. So that's what's to come. How are you doing, Jim?
I'm doing just fine. The Phils are winning, and that's the most important thing. They're winning their games. They're winning their series, especially
against key teams,
division rivals. So against key teams, you got to beat your division teams. You have to, if you expect to get anywhere, especially the Mets. And taking 2 out of 3 from the Mets is wonderful. And there was some upside, there was some downside. So we're going to get into that. But first, we're going to throw it to Kids Corner, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We have a very special Kids Corner. All 3 of my kids participated. And I don't know, Jim.
Mine did too.
Awesome. We have a full roster, so to speak. So great. And so at this point, let's throw it to Kids Corner.
So I'm here with Finn and Noah, and I'm here to ask them, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say baseball?
Nicky throw the ball to me.
All right. Thanks, Finn. And Noah, how about you?
Probably the first thing I think about is like all the Phillies hitting home runs, specifically like Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and yeah.
Thanks.
Sure, yeah. Okay. Go Phillies.
I am here with Breyer, Emerson, and Calder, and we are going to do Kids Corner today. The question is, what is the first thing you think of when you hear the word baseball?
Snacks.
Thank you, Breyer. And Emerson, what's the first thing you think of when you hear the word baseball?
Food.
Okay. You see a theme developing here. Calder, what's the first thing you think of when you hear the word baseball?
Nick Castellanos and the Liberty Bell.
All right. So Calder broke the pattern a little bit there, which is good. Change it up a little bit. The girls think along the lines of food, and that's great. When you think of the ballpark, and food is one of those things that naturally comes to mind. So thank you, guys.
And I love all of those responses. Great job, kids.
Yep. So much fun. I love that mentality of with a kid, especially like whatever pops in your head, just say it. First thing you think of, kind of, yeah.
Hey, you've got some good cool experiences that you've witnessed. Hey, it's the first thing that comes to your mind. Awesome, love it.
Yep.
So, with that in mind, we're gonna move on to our weekly recap. So, Phillies took 3 out of 4 from the Marlins and then 2 out of 3 from the Mets. That is a winning week. We love to see it. So let's get into our studs and duds. Brent, I'm going to throw it to you. Who do you have for your stud?
So for my stud, I am going with Trey Turner. And I know that may seem like an easy one, and it is. But from the offensive standpoint, he had 9 hits this past week, 2 homers in Miami. One was a monster. To left field. He really got a hold of that. 4 RBIs, batting average at 300 even. You got to love that. He's still keeping that average up. And much like you, last week, I think you had to acknowledge that Marsh has been playing well. I have to acknowledge Trey is playing well at shortstop defensively. I know I've been giving him a hard time, I think justifiably, because, he has had some blunders, but the last 3 weeks, he's been very good. He's been not just making the plays he should make, he's been making some special plays. Do I think he's the long-term solution at that position? Still, no. I don't. I think Because I think you look at trying to maximize your output from a defensive perspective. I mean, we know Stott is better there. We probably Aiden Miller may be better there. That time will tell with that. But again, I'm going to give him what he's due right now, and he is playing the position effectively. I hope it continues. I'm not sure it will because history suggests that it won't. I'm being a little pessimistic now. If he proves me wrong, great. I hope he does. I hope come September, October, he is still playing at this level at the position, and I'm eating my words. I truly do. But yeah, I mean, I got to give it all around. He's playing great right now.
It'd be a great time to eat your words at the end of the year when he's potentially in the conversation. I don't think it's going to happen as far as a Gold Glove, but you never know.
Right.
As far as my stud, I got to give it to Alec Boehm. Like the guy has been raking,
tearing it up. Yeah,
he's producing. He's not grounding into double plays nearly as often. He's not having as many emotional outbursts. I think I saw him throw the helmet once this past week. But you know what? He's hitting close to 300 now when he started off terribly, and he's filling in for Bryce. And I couldn't ask for more out of him from both sides. Defensively, he's been solid too. He's making some great plays. Yeah, he had you called it a lazy play the other day. I think it was in Miami, but he's hitting doubles. He's driving in runs, and that's exactly what we need him for. And he looks like the guy from the first half of last year at the moment.
Yeah, he had the error.
I think it was an easy call for me for Boehm. Yeah, one error, didn't make or break the week. So,
no, the timing wasn't great, but they recovered. They recovered from it.
Yes, they recovered. He did what he needed to do. So, congrats, Alec Boehm. You're my stud of the week. All right. So moving on to dud, I'm just gonna take this one right here. The guy threw first two batters he saw in the Mets series, he let up 2 home runs. It's Taijuan Walker. I couldn't have that happen in that particular moment. It was after Wheels threw 5 innings, then Walker comes in and lets up a home run to Alonso and who was the other one? McNeil, was it? But it was back to back either way.
Yeah.
So no, like that can't happen. Not then, especially like. Wheels gave everything he had for those 5 innings. I mean, he threw almost 100 pitches, and you come in and just blow it right away for him. Not good this week, Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, can't argue with that. That's fair. So I actually went with another relief pitcher, and it's funny because last night he pitched well, but. Honestly, Matt Strahm is not doing what I need him to do right now overall. The ERA is at 3.73 right now. I'd like to see that a solid point lower, I just that ERA's got to be lower, and he hasn't been as sharp the last month, I would say. Would you agree with that? I know you've kind of probably picked up on it a little earlier than I did, but
the velocity's been down. This year for him. So and he's not nearly as effective as he's been last 2 years.
Right.
I don't know if he's ever recovered from the injury he had in spring training.
Well, that's a good point. It could be that. The fragility of this bullpen as it is right now, we need Strahm to be a reliable, steady arm like he has been, like you said, in the last 2 years. We need that right now, and I need him to be sharper because right now Orion Kerkering is the only guy that I have 100% confidence in right now when he's out there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy he's been getting some closing spots.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to see a little more of that from him. So hopefully Strahm figures out what's going on, and he can get maybe a couple days where he doesn't have to come in a high leverage spot where he can just settle in, throw his pitches and hit his locations and feel good.
Well, last night was kind of that. I mean, he did come in and get 3 outs without issue, which is great. Hopefully that boosts his confidence. And we had a decent enough lead, obviously, that it wasn't a big deal. Hopefully he picks that up and moves forward, and now he can be in 7th and 8th inning situations with a 1-run game or whatever, and he's back on his game. That's what I'm hoping.
Like you said, we need him.
Yes. for sure.
All right. So that's studs and duds. We're going to move on to pros and cons. So there's choices on both ends. What you got?
Well, so mine are kind of connected, actually, in a weird way.
Okay.
So one of the pro for me right now is the fact that the Phillies are getting runs in a myriad of ways. They're not relying on the home run only. They're playing station to station. They're getting choppers. They're hustling to bases. They're doing a bunch of different things to get runs, and I think that's something they haven't done that well the last couple of years. They've really relied on the home run ball in a way that they're not doing this year. I'm not saying they're not hitting home runs, because they are, but they're not using it as the only means to score. And I think that's a big difference, and it might make a big difference come postseason when it's a little colder, the ball's not jumping as much. I think that's a good sign that they're finding ways to score without the home run necessarily being involved.
Yeah. All right. And I have just people breaking through. Just it's the offense breaking through, such as Brandon Marsh. Bryson Stott finally came into play this week.
The 3-run homer.
That home run was great. The really cool moment, scene from a movie.
Oh my God! Yeah, how did we not talk about that?
Yeah, we're getting there now. Stott hit it off the wall. I thought it was gone off the bat, and then you see Bohm come in. Next thing you know, Casty's right there, but JT is on his heels and sliding in at the same time. Seeing the ump call the double safe. That's a once in a lifetime moment. That was so cool to see. I literally exclaimed, "Wow!"
I know. I said to Bridget, I was like, that was so funny. Did you see that? I was like, it was. My cousin said this reminded me of. I thought of you. She said, and she showed me that it was the scene side by side with Rookie of the Year, which I mentioned to you too. And then you said Major League. I think was so. But it was on social media all weekend after that. It was so fun. Just keep seeing it pop up. I just laughed every time it came up. It was so funny, and they were having fun with it. Like it looked like it was fun, and that was great.
Hey, you see smiles on all the faces of a team that's winning. It's always a good moment, right?
Yeah.
So I think just the offense itself having guys that haven't been stepping up, starting to step up.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Marsh hit the ball and make good contact and not striking out, looking as often.
Exactly.
Even and missing as much either.
Even when he's making outs, I think we were texting. It was one of the Marlins games where he went over. He was 0 for 3 to start the game, but every at bat was he squared it up. Like he hit it solidly. A couple flyouts pretty deep to the outfield where he just missed it, but he hit it hard. And it's like those are outs I'm okay with because your mechanics look good. You're seeing the ball well, and that's just a matter of luck, right? Eventually they're going to fall, and that's what you want to see. He's a bottom of the order guy. Just don't try and do too much. Just put the ball in play, hit it as hard as you can. Just make solid contact, and that's all we need from him at that 7, 8 spot, 9 spot, whatever he's in on a given day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think he has communication issues out in the outfield at times.
Oh
but,
yeah.
Yeah. So there was a clear one the other day. There was it was almost in between him and Casty, and I think Casty ended up getting it, but you could see Marsh was like, "What am I doing here? Why didn't I say something?" You can see like he starts bending down, like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah, well, and I mean, look, so we've talked about this. Rojas has had those issues, too, with communication, and that's a big issue in the center field spot. I would argue it's the biggest issue in center field. They're both athletically capable. It's the decision-making and the communication, or lack thereof sometimes, that is the biggest issue in that spot. Neither one of Marsh or Rojas are bad defensive outfielders in terms of their ability or even their skill, like their speed. I mean, they both can move decent, especially Rojas can move pretty well. It's just that indecision, that lack of communication of who's getting the ball. And of course they know too, probably the center fielders, the general out there, they need to take charge. Anything that is in between either outfielder, that's the center fielder's ball most, like 99% of the time,
And as far as throwing the ball in, there was a moment, I think it was in the Marlins series, I don't recall exactly, but Marsh got the ball and threw it like hard as if he was throwing it home, and it got past Trey. Like he wasn't throwing it to Trey, and I think Trey tried to get it, but like, why are we throwing it home there? Your only play was the second base. Like, don't
Right.
You're gonna let the
hit the cutoff guy.
Hit the cut.
Hit the cutoff.
Hit the cut because that guy on first base, he's going to be on second base, and you're going to cost the team another run.
Exactly. Yep. No, I 100% agree.
Offensively, you're doing great, Brandon Marsh. Keep it up, and thank you, Bryson Stott. I'm a true believer in Bryson Stott, and I want to see this continue with him. He's making great contact. That swing is flattened out a little bit the way it should.
Yeah.
And when he hits the ball, he's hitting the ball hard and to all fields, which is
catching up to
does.
the fastball too. Yes. He's catching up, which is good.
That's huge, and I mean, so lock it in. We need you in Houston tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a big series.
Tuesday in this case.
Yes.
All right. So, brings us to cons. What you got?
So, the con is similar with the home runs. I was talking about production for the Phillies. We're giving up too many home runs. That second Mets game obviously is the biggest, evidence of that. What was it? 7? It set a single game or tied a single game record or something like that. 7 solo home runs. That's, I mean, yeah, they're solos. I think they were all solos. But they say solos won't kill you, but if you give 7 up, they will. I don't know what was going on, but that was really awful to watch. I mean, at some point, you got to stop giving them hittable pitches. You got to, figure something else out. The Mets are a good team, but they shouldn't be hitting 7 home runs off of you in a game. That was, and it's not just that. I mean, Marlins series, we gave up some homers too. Leaving pitches right over the middle of the plate. Usually, it's not like we're talking about in Pittsburgh where the guy went down and got that pitch. That I think Sanchez or Ranger threw. I think Ranger. It was down and away from him, and he went down and got it. You tip your hat on that, right? You're like, you just tip your hat. Hey, man, you got me. Great hit. In this case, most of them are fat fastballs or hanging off-speed pitches that anyone who's played baseball would do damage to. And you got to hit your spots or you're going to get hurt at this level.
The only one from this week I think was allowable it was the Sunday night. It was the one that Lindor hit. That was a low pitch. He golfed it out. I'll give him his credit there. He took a pitch that shouldn't have been a home run, and he made it one. So good for you. He's a heck of a player. So as much as it pains me to say, the Mets are a good team. The Phillies are better. At least I still believe that the Phillies are better overall.
I agree,
but the Mets are a good team. So it's going to be a fun rest of the season for this division.
2-team race, man. It's becoming a 2-team race. The Braves have fallen really far beyond. I was wrong. I said no, but I mean, even after they started 0-7, I said, don't you mark my words, they'll be back in the race. And they started to get back. They started making ground up. I think they won 12 out of 15 or 10 out of 16 or something like that, where they made up ground. They were starting to come up a little bit, but ever since then, they've just been spiraling and
they can't stay healthy either. Sales out. Was it Smith Solver? He's out. Was it? Somebody.
Yeah, they're constantly dealing with the injuries. Yeah.
That's a shame. They should be a good team. I mean, if it's a 2-horse race, I'd prefer that. Hopefully, it becomes a 1-horse race at some point. It won't. But
no, that's going down to the wire.
Yeah, right. So as far as my con goes, it's the bullpen outside of Orion.
That's fair.
It just wasn't. Hasn't been good enough. So there's like you said, home runs. There's hard hit balls all over the place. I think Banks let up a couple. Walker let up a couple. Strom's not hitting his spots all the time.
Joe Ross has not been as sharp as he was early on. Right. Yeah,
and forget Michael Mercado. He's just
him and Lazar are just passing ships in the night, up and down.
Right, Lazar he's thrown some good pitches. I'll give him that. He hasn't been terrible, but he's not a guy I want to see in the game at any point. Unless it's 10 to us.
Exactly.
Put him in, mop it up.
He's that guy. Exactly. He's the guy with a big deficit or a big lead. That's what you want.
I mean, Orion's been stellar the last couple weeks, but the rest of the bullpen has been a little spotty for me. So they need to pick it up and support the starting pitching, which has been excellent all year. Like Luzardo was fantastic yesterday. Wheels gave as much as he could on Friday. Just he's a little wild at times, and
he
got hosed a couple times too.
How insane is that, though, that he was – even JT said he didn't have his best stuff. Like, he said that after the game. But that's how good he was, or he is, that even when he doesn't have his best stuff, he's still scoreless, gives you 6, and is still striking guys out, even though he's not – he gets into a bases-loaded jam in the first. And like you said, he's a little wild, but, I mean, that's the sign of an ace. That's a guy who, when he doesn't have his best stuff, is still – incredibly difficult to score off of, and that's what he did. You know,
I'll argue for a long time he's the best free agent signing in Phillies history.
Yeah,
I mean Bryce is great, but
Halladay was great
was
too,
fantastic but he wasn't as long as we expected. We got two good years out of Halladay. We've had how many good years out of Wheels? We had a shortened year. Outside of the shortened year, he's been Cy Young.
He's been a perennial candidate.
He's
been a perennial Cy Young candidate, and I would argue he should have won at least one of the two of those that he was up for. And I get it. It's not always clear cut. It's you look at a lot of different things for that, but he gives you the innings. You know you're going to get 200 or better from him every year. And he does. And he steps it up in the playoffs. Yeah, he's. And I think we talked about this before in an earlier episode. He brought a new pitch in. He's brought in new pitches. The sweeper was not something when he first got to us that he really worked with. The rising fastball he always had. So it is. And he has like 5 or 6 pitches that he can throw at you depending on how he's feeling that day. But that rising fastball is the thing that stands out to me. That I mean, you cannot touch 97, starting at your belt and then ending up at your neck, basically. You're not touching that.
Watching him strike out Lindor, it was Friday night. It was a rising fastball, and Lindor had nothing to do but smile and laugh about it. It's like, oh, jeez, I got nothing on this. There's no way.
And Ranger too. I mean, you got Ranger's been. I mean,
he's been first half Ranger, and he outside of the first one start,
first game, he's been amazing.
Pitcher. He's been a top 5 pitcher in the major leagues at this point.
And I would argue Sanchez has been the most consistently good in the rotation from start to now, because he has
going 8 too.
Yeah, exactly. He went 8 innings, and he has not faltered at all yet this year. Like, he hasn't had that game that it's like, oh, man, he got just rocked. He's had games that haven't been his best, but he hasn't had one where he's completely unraveled, and I don't think anyone else can say that. Even Wheels had a tough one in Atlanta early in the year, but Sanchez has been every outing. He has had a respectable outing so far.
He's been consistent keeping them in it. I mean, his worst start was against the Dodgers. He let up 4 runs, and it was early in the season, and they won that game anyway. But hey, he's been very, very good. I'm thrilled with how good he's been this past 2 years at this point now.
And
you know what?
Abel,
While we're
though,
on starting pitching, I'm gonna pivot a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna pivot to Mick Abel. He was good for start and a half, and now he is letting up. He's throwing gopher balls. He's throwing balls that are being taken out consistently. He let up a couple home runs against Toronto. Now he let up back-to-back home runs against the Mets this past weekend. That's not acceptable. I'm sorry. We can't have that. There's something going on. They're either figuring something out with him, or he's tipping his pitches. He's doing something that is causing him to struggle, and I'm ready for Andrew Painter.
Well, I agree with you. We can't have that. And I think I said to you, I'm like, we need Painter up here. And he's not going to be up probably for another month, I think, at this point. But he's not able. I think. So he's had a few starts now, and I don't know that he's tipping his pitches. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I think the biggest issue is that there's film on him now, and people are watching him pitch, and they're able to break it down, and they know what to look for. They know what pitches he relies on in certain situations, and the first start or two, nobody knew anything about him, and that tends to be the case with young pitchers a lot of times. that they kind of are able to get people out because nobody knows.
Right. I mean, we've seen our guys go against pitchers we've never heard of, and always struggle. It's been a thing for as long as I can remember that the Phillies cannot hit a new pitcher. And so, I mean, they've brought it up on post game and pregame so many times when that happens. But it just brings my attention to Andrew Painter. Where is he right now, and how soon are we going to see them? I'm still thinking August. Early August, potentially, sometime after the break, either way. But I'm excited to see this kid pitch with the big club really soon at this point.
Yeah, me too.
But news around the team this past week, there was a moment where a certain right fielder of ours was taken out of the game for defensive purposes. Understandably so, because Marsh and Rojas and Kepler is your best defensive combination. My apologies. And apparently, Nick said something inappropriate or unnecessary, according to Rob Thompson, and leading to a benching the following day. Was Rob Thompson justified in benching Nick Castellanos, or was he just set an example? What are your thoughts on this situation that occurred?
So we don't know what was said, right?
Right.
I mean, that's important to note, and I don't think it's been revealed yet. It's all speculation. That said, though, as someone who coaches myself, and as someone who has followed Thompson now for as long as he's been the manager, he's a pretty chill guy and seems to be a pretty popular manager with his players. Like, he's a player's manager by all accounts. So for him to do that, it had to be pretty over the line, I think. I don't think he would have just chosen to break a 200 some odd game streak and all that for nothing. And we know Nick does kind of shoot from the hip sometimes, and when you do that, you're bound to cross a line now and then. And I saw people on social media kind of like, oh, this is another reason Topper shouldn't be the manager and all this stuff. I mean, I'm a coach, right? And I coach little kids, but I've coached up to 12-year-old kids. And as they get older, that testosterone starts developing, and they start kind of chesting up, and they try to start challenging people. I've had to put kids in their place before as a coach, be like, look, you're not soccer, like, hey, you're not playing, for the first few minutes of the half because, that's not how we do things. And usually it works. And I've never had a parent complain or anything like that either. But in this case, you're in the dugout, and I know now I've heard different accounts, right? But it sounds like he probably said something in the dugout to a certain extent, and then maybe he went and talked to him later too. So I don't know. But if he said it in the dugout, you can't do that in front of. I mean, you can't undermine your boss. He is your boss. Ricky Bo had a great take on this. He is your boss. And I agreed with him 100%. You don't get to just say whatever you want. I can't do that to my boss. You can't do that to your boss. You can disagree or voice concern, but there's a way to do that. And my sense is Nick did not go about it in the most professional or appropriate way.
He either said something about one of his teammates that was placed into the game, or he said something
maybe
about Rob Thompson. I mean, apparently, they made up, and everything is well and good right now, and hopefully stays well and good ever since. It's like, hey, he's played well. He had a pretty nice home run.
To left center field.
Yeah, and then and made a good play at the end of the game. Wednesday, was it Wednesday night? Thursday night, whatever one they.
It was
Thursday night.
It was a series clincher, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a cool moment. I think, hey, you're back to playing well. Just sometimes speaking your mind might not be the best idea. If you want to stay in the games. Right. These things happen. I know you mentioned I've seen it too when people speak their minds, and you don't always get the best reaction from a coach or from teammates. So. Hopefully, he's got to set a good example for his younger teammates, and don't let them think that they can speak that way to their coach or about a fellow teammate.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think they're past it now. Rob said they were. I don't know what Nick said about it, but I don't sense any tension. It doesn't seem like it. He's back in the lineup. He's doing what he's been doing. And, somebody pointed this out. I don't know who it was. But you're with these guys for baseball's such a long season too. You're with these guys for what is it? 8 regular season. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's 9 months of the year overall. When you include 9-10 months almost, if you include spring training from its beginning and everything, you spend so much time with these guys, and you're on the road. You're living in close quarters sometimes. It's going to happen, right? It's going to happen where you're just, you're going to disagree. Families do it. I mean, you live in a house with people, there's going to be conflict. You work with people, there's going to be conflict, whether it's a baseball team or some kind of business. Absolutely. And it's hopefully moving forward, lessons were learned all around, especially for Nick, that, yeah, you have your thoughts and you might feel strongly about them, but there's a time and a place to address them. And the dugout, as soon as you get yanked from the game, is not the place to do that. So, right. Yeah, I think it's at this point a nothing burger. I think it was probably made to be a bigger deal than it actually was, but it probably became a big deal because Rob doesn't do that usually. And I think, if it was a manager like Larry Boa or something like that, okay, Boa was known for going head to head with his own players and
examples.
Exactly, and that wouldn't have been news. But with this, if Charlie Manuel had done something like this, or Topper, because I think they managed similarly in that way, where they kind of let the players govern themselves unless they had to step in, and I think that's sort of what it was. So I'm glad that he's back in the lineup. You hate that it happened, but like you said, it's just kind of human nature, and they seem to be in a good spot right now.
Right, and I think, from my understanding, he's looking more into his defensive metrics, and he's figuring out where he can improve. And I love the determination and the effort that he's putting into being a better defensive player. And we've said it last time, he's not a slouch out there. He's better than the worst defensive outfielder in baseball.
Oh yeah,
I mean he makes great plays at times. We've mentioned he doesn't have the best arm, but he gets to the ball. He's long. He can make those extended catches, or sliding catches, and that he's perfected over the time.
Yeah, and he reads plays pretty well for the most part.
I mean, there was the one play. I think it was against the Mets. It was against the Mets where it was him, Stott, and Kemp were going for a ball, and the one that was like Kemp got to. Like they're like,
oh yeah,
he would have made. He was probably right there, ready to make that catch. I think Stott should have gotten that one, but it's probably just Kemp learning the position. But hey, good for you for getting to it. He's got a little more speed than I expected, and he just put it to good use.
Yep.
And then speaking of Otto Kemp, since I just mentioned him, we get to see him in left field last night. I think that's cool. It's something we're going to probably expect when Bryce comes back, is to see him platooning with Kepler.
And I'm thrilled to see that. I think that's a good thing. Kemp seems like a pretty good athlete so far, from what I see. He can move. He's got some energy. Still hasn't gotten that home run, but he's gotten a couple doubles, and he's hit it close. He's been close I like him. I'm rooting for him. I want him to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think that's perfect because Weston was doing nothing in that spot. Kemp is automatically already an upgrade in that sense of production.
He hit a long fly ball recently, and I was hoping it was going out. I think you said something too to me. You texted me, you thought that was going to, or you wanted to see it in that moment. Like,
yeah,
like, get out. Just didn't do it. It's just warning track power right now. I think it might, he might be over swinging a little bit, trying to hit it out, and he's just getting under it a little bit too much. But he'll get one.
Maybe, yeah. That's
really all I have on all this, and I think that means it's time for Guess That Phillie. What you got for me today?
All right. Let's see if you're ready. So, this gentleman was with the Phillies from 1995 to 2001. I'm sorry, to 2000. He played from 95 to 2001 total. Okay. So, he was a utility player, primarily infield.
Okay.
batted right through right.
All right.
425 career games. He had 212 career hits. 6 career home runs, not a power guy. 56 RBIs in his career. Any thoughts yet?
Tomas Perez?
No, that's a good guess, though. That's a good guess. Yeah, no, not him. And Tomas was a little after this. So it was 95 to 2000, so it was a little, but close timing, though. So he had a 275 career average, which isn't terrible. So, and this is interesting. His only appearance with another team was one single at-bat with Colorado in 2001.
Oh, jeez. One single at-bat. How about a number for this guy?
Number 11.
Ew. So, the number 11 before J-Roll, huh? One of them.
Yeah. Right before, yeah.
Jeez.
I have a couple more that I don't know.
Sure,
I mean, they're just kind of.
What do you got here? I'm probably a blank here.
So he's currently a baseball coach at I think it's called Marist High School in Illinois, and he has owned a Jimmy John's location and a CrossFit training facility.
Okay, that's interesting.
Not helpful, but I just thought it was fun.
No.
I'll give you a hint. He has the same name as the color commentator with Scott Fransky on the radio for the Phillies. Same first name.
First name?
Yes.
Well, it's not Kevin Jordan.
No. I already used him, I think.
We've already used that. I don't. What's the first letter of the last name?
S.
It's not Kevin Stocker. Kevin Stockers.
No, not Kevin Stocker. They were on the same team at the same time, though.
Yeah, you lost me. You win this round, sir.
Kevin Sefcik.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about him myself. I stumbled across the name. I'm like, ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. Good job. So now I can't use Tomas Perez, by the way.
That's okay. There's plenty to choose from. But yeah, I didn't know if you were going to get it or not. Sometimes you surprise me, but yeah.
I mean, no, not this time around. It's not as bad as Matt Beach. But yeah, good work. Well done. I'll get you next time.
I'm sure you will. Or Noah. You can bring Noah in. He really turned me around in circles.
So we'll see if I can do him justice and do the same. All right. So you know what? You win this round. Why don't you wrap it up for us?
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us. If you would like to listen, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify or at Phillies Unfiltered Podcast on YouTube if you'd like to watch us. And then if you'd like to follow us, please go to our Facebook page at Phillies Unfiltered, Instagram at Phillies Unfiltered, or Twitter/X at Funfiltered, PhunPhiltered.
Well done. Good job. All right.
Thank you.
So our Phils are headed to Houston for a 3-game set against the Astros, and then heading to Atlanta for 3 over there. Let's get some wins, win both these series, so that way they can come home against the Pods, and do some business here. Let's get it done. So thank you all for listening. We look forward to chatting with you very soon. Don't forget, we're going to be on hiatus, but we'll be dropping a special episode before you know it. But with that, as always, go Phils.
Go Phils. See you guys.